Hey guys, so this video is about 9.4 still, but it's about the problems that say 4-step process to find something that looks like F with a little tick mark or this R with a little apostrophe looking thing. That's called prime. That little tick mark in the air is called prime. Anyway, it just shows that we used this formula and found the derivative or the slope, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so in your homework, if you see the 4-step process, or if you see something with this little tick mark, these are the steps you're going to look at. And I put a homework problem right here. It says use the 4-step process to find r prime x, and then find r prime 1, r prime 2, r prime 3. And then it says r of x equals 9 minus 5x squared. Okay, so if we look at this formula, it's the exact same kind of looking formula as what we were using before, with maybe the limit x approaches 0, f of a plus h minus f of a. Only instead of an A, like an actual number that we get to put in, we just leave the letter X a letter. We leave the letter H a letter. So we're not plugging in numbers into this formula yet, like we did with finding equation of a tangent line through a point, finding the slope of a secant line, finding the slope of a graph. All of those we plugged in a number for the A, but here the A is just a letter X. Okay, anyway, so first off, this formula has a f prime x, and we're asked to find r prime x, but that's the same thing. In math, f of x, r of x, g of x, it's all the same thing. It just means y equals. It's just a different way to label equations. This R probably stands for something like revenue or some kind of businessy thing we're going to talk about later. Okay, so anyway, the first step is to find f of x plus h by plugging in x plus h into f of x. What the heck? Okay, so f of x is the same thing as r of x. So we're going to plug something into r of x. So let's write down my r of x. It's it's right here already. R of x equals 9 minus 5x squared. But then it says you're going to plug in x plus h into this equation. So instead of this x, I'm going to put x plus h. Instead of this x, I'm going to put x plus h. So we're going to have r parentheses x plus h equals 9 minus 5 parentheses x plus h close parentheses squared. So it's just like what we were doing before, only before, instead of x plus h, there was a number. Sorry, I sneezed. And instead of the x, there was usually a number. Ugh. Okay, so for us, we need to multiply all this out. So first, I think I'm going to take care of that squared thing. That squared thing means it times itself, as in x plus h times x plus h. And then I like to do that FOIL thing, which is just how you naturally multiply. Don't panic. So x multiply x is x squared. That's the f of FOIL. Naturally, we would do x times h next. And in math, we put letters alphabetically. So x times h, they just get squished up together, but I put them alphabetically. So hx becomes, because h comes before x in the alphabet. And this was a positive, so I'm just going to put a little plus sign. That does not say t, that says a plus sign. Okay, now let's work on the insides. H times x is another plusative, hx. Then lastly, h times h is h squared. Okay, good. Then just like on the last couple of problems, we've been able to combine the oi, like 1hx plus another 1hx makes +2hx. Where the heck did she get the 1? Okay, don't forget that these hx's have a pretend 1 on them. So that's where I got 2, because 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay. So if I write down everything I just got from this FOIL, I get x squared plus 2hx plus h squared from the L. But then I'm not done with the problem, because don't forget we had that 9 sitting out in front. And I think we also had a -5 sitting out in front. So we need to bring those down. We had a 9 and a -5. But this -5 was multiplying, because of these parentheses, times everything we get from x plus h squared. So this -5 still needs to be multiplying, so I need to put parentheses, with everything I got from x plus h squared. Okay, now let's distribute, combine like terms, and we'll be done with step 1. So distribute, and we're gonna get 9. But then when I distribute, make sure you pick up that whole -5 and multiply him in. Not just the 5, the negative also. So -5 multiply x squared, -5x squared. -5 multiply 2hx, -10hx. -5 multiply h squared, same thing as x squared, only it's a h. So -5 multiplied h squared, -5h squared. Okay, let's see if I can combine any like terms. Well, I cannot, because all the buts are different. This but doesn't even have anything on it. This but is a x squared. This but is a hx. This but is a h squared. So none of them match, so I cannot combine. So we're done with step 1. Woohoo! Okay, step 2 says plug it in. The back end always cancels, okay? So we're gonna plug it into this big fraction. So I'm gonna draw a big fraction. And instead of this top left, f of x plus h, I'm gonna write down whatever I got when I found f of x plus h, which was step 1. And I think on step 1, there was a r, but it's okay. R of x plus h is the same thing. And for this, we got, oh, here it is. 9 minus 5x squared, So that's what I'm going to put on this top left up here. It's okay that it's out of order. Okay, good. And then we're going to have, the formula says a fat minus, so fat minus. And then the formula says f of x. Well, where in the world is f of x? We don't have to do math to find it. We just have to use our eyeballs. F of x is the same thing as r of x in this problem, because this problem has r's. So let's look for r of x. Oh, hey, they gave it to us up here. Yes, r of x. So instead of r of x, I'm going to put this sucker, 9 minus x squared. Yeah. And since that r of x is kind of long, it has more than one term in it. It has 9 and something else, an x squared. Since there's more than one term, I'm going to put it in parentheses after this minus. So the formula said f of x plus h. That's what we found in step 1. The formula said minus. I put a minus. The formula says f of x, which is r of x, which is way up here. But instead of just writing r of x like so, I'm going to put parentheses around it to show that I'm subtracting the whole thing. If you, okay, yeah. Okay, and then we are always over h. And we don't have to plug anything in crazy for that h. We just write h. Okay, Now it says the back end always cancels. So this is when we're going to start crossing things out. Well, let's see. I have a +9 sitting at the front. And eventually, I'm going to have a -9 and a +5x squared when I distribute that negative. So I'll go ahead and rewrite that just in case you want it. Okay, so everything is the same except for this 9 at the back end is now a -9. This -5x squared at the back end is now a +5x squared. And that happens because we multiply this -1 before the parentheses to everything afterwards. Okay, now let's cancel. I see a +9 and a -9. Goodbye. I see a -5x squared and a +5x squared. Goodbye. And then all I have left is a bunch of stuff with H's, whatever, letters. So let me write them down. -10hx minus 5h squared over h. Okay, so we just did step 2. It took us a while. Now step 3 says cancel the h's if possible. So an h from the bottom can cancel with an h from every term from the top. So this -10hx is just -10x now. This -5h squared is now -5, just regular h. Because that h in the bottom can knock off an h from everything in the top. Okay, the last step says plug in 0 for any h's that you have left over. So I'm going to say -10x minus 5 times 0. And that 5 times 0 goes away because it's just 0. So we just get -10x. So the question was, find r prime x. Well, we did. It took me 45 minutes, but we did it. Okay, so r prime x is -10x. Now we just have a couple of other things we need to find. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to take forever. It's not. The only other thing we have to find is r prime 1, r prime 2, r prime 3. So to find those, we're just going to plug these numbers, 1, 2, 3, into this r prime x equation we just got from that huge, crazy formula. So let me just maybe fold it up like this and we can kind of, okay, there we go. Okay, so we just got r prime x and it was equal to -10x. But the rest of the question is asking for r prime 1. So we're just going to take the 1 and plug it into the x. So -10, instead of x, we'll put 1. And that gives you -10. So r prime 1 is -10. It's just a number. Let's do the next one. R prime 2, they wanted. So we're just going to plug in a 2 for the letter x. So -10 times 2. And that's -20. And it's okay to just have a number. Then the last one was r prime 3. So you plug in a 3 and we get -30. Woohoo! Okay, so technically you didn't know it, but we just found the derivative or the slope of the tangent line. Whoa. Okay. Gracias.